Hey, what's up everybody? This is Smooth24, and this is going to be my second video game versus video. This is going to be between Super Smash Bros. Melee, which came out for the GameCube in 2001, and Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which came out for the Wii in 2008. I don't actually have a copy of the original Smash Bros., otherwise I would include this in a triple versus sort of a thing. So for now I'm just going to do these two. The gameplay in both games is really fluid and responsive, and that's a good thing because it's very fast-paced, and obviously you gotta be quick on your feet as it's a fighting game. These are both of them are easily like the best fighting games I think this generation. Some people would consider some of the old school fighter games to be stronger than these, and in some cases yes, in other cases I would say probably not, but the one very nice thing about either one of these games is they're very accessible to players both new and old. You can, in Melee you're just using the GameCube controller, but in Brawl you can use the GameCube controller, you can use the Wiimote sideways, you can use the Wiimote nunchuck, and I might be wrong, but I think you can use the classic controller too. I'm not positive on that. I don't have a classic controller for the Wii, so you've got a lot of options in that regard with Brawl, more so than Melee, obviously, because Melee was just designed for the GameCube controller. There are a number of modes of play. There's obviously the multiplayer, which is probably the main reason that most people buy this game. And in that, you're going to have a free-for-all mode, team battle, and you can do some special melees as well, where you can change to like invisible melee, giant melee, lightning melee. In Brawl, you still have those special melees, but basically you're given a menu, and you can change whatever you want on there. You turn stuff on and off, whereas in Melee, it's like a bunch of preset modes. And granted, there are quite a few in Melee, but you do have a little bit more freedom with those in Brawl. When you're playing multiplayer, you can change the, I guess the mode of play to accommodate for a number of lives. Being stock mode, you can do a timed mode, which is just see who comes out at the top at the end of a certain number of minutes of play. And then in Melee they have a coin mode, which is kind of it's kind of like an HP mode, but you try and collect coins from each other. It's kind of crazy. A lot of people didn't receive it all that well. I think it's kind of fun every once in a while, but again, it's not like any form of traditional gameplay. You can also, in any one of these modes, change the options for play. You can set different items on and off. You can change the frequency of those items. And in Brawl, you can change whether you want the Smash Balls to appear or not, which I'll get to in a little bit, what exactly the Smash Balls are. For the single-player modes, you can do the Classic mode, which is basically Melee and Brawl's version of what was in the original Smash Bros. Story mode. You can do an adventure mode, which really I think is stronger Melee just because it was different for the time of its release. Basically, it's a trek through all these different Nintendo games, and there's a couple levels for each game. So you have like trek through the dungeons of Hyrule for Legend of Zelda. You have an escape from the depths of Brinstar for Metroid, stuff like that. There is an all-star mode in both games where you can basically take on every playable character in the game as a CPU, and it gets more and more challenging as you go on. You're given a certain amount of health that you can use to, heal yourself over the course of that. And then for Brawl, this is exclusive to Brawl, they included a single-player mode called Subspace Emissary. And basically what this is it's an original story made for Brawl where they combined basically every Nintendo universe to date, not all of them, but most of the big ones, smashed them together into this one story, and it's really fun. There are some very funny parts in it. It's basically meant just to be for Nintendo fans, but I think it works. it could have used some changes here and there, but I do feel like it's a lot more fleshed out of an idea as it builds on what Melee's adventure mode started. And it's also a lot longer, so you do have a lot more play out of that you're going to get. Also, there are a couple different things you can unlock as you go through the Subspace Emissary. So there's a little bit of replay value there. There's a couple different modes of difficulty that you can play that with, and during the second half more so, you can change up your party members. So say you're in the middle of a boss battle in there or something, and one of your characters drops out, then you can bring in another character, but as time progresses, you'll unlock more characters to use. So instead of just being stuck with like Mario and Link, you can have a whole slew of characters at your disposal. There's also a tournament mode that you can do either single player or multiplayer, where basically you just enter a character in for each human playing the game, human player playing the game, and then you'll go up against various CPUs, and you can change the number of entrants in the tournament mode, and it's just kind of for fun. I mean, there's really nothing that you get out of it other than enjoyment. I mean, you're not going to unlock anything through this. Melee also has some challenges that you can do. These are... they're different. I'll just say that. They require you to just complete various tasks with different characters, and sometimes they'll tell you have to use this character. Sometimes they'll tell you, you can choose whatever character you want. Some of them have you go up against multiple enemies. Other ones just have you go up against one, and it'll be more challenging that way. Because then it'll be a higher difficulty. Some of these are way too easy, and I think that's the point with the first few of them, is to get you kind of in the, the swing of things. And some of them are way too hard. I mean, I consider myself a pretty hardcore gamer, and there are some of those Melee challenges that are just a pain in the butt, and there's some of them that, to this day, I still have not completed, and I've just kind of stopped caring after a while because they're too ridiculous. I do know they are beatable. I've seen people beat them, but at this point I'm not, too worried about unlocking one more stage to play on, especially when it's Final Destination. It's just a big flat area. But anyways, there is kind of a rubber band effect in Brawl, more so than in Melee. I didn't really feel that much of it in Melee, and people have complained about this in like Mario Kart Wii as well. I don't know if it's just because Nintendo's trying to like balance things out here a little bit for the new generation, or what it is, but it gets really annoying in Brawl, and part of it comes out of the fact that the difficulty levels of play, either for what level you set the CPU at or what difficulty you set the gameplay mode at in Brawl, is that the easier modes, being like level 5 on down or normal on down, are much easier than in Melee. Whereas the more difficult modes are much more difficult than they were in Melee. And I honestly don't think they needed to make that split. I think it was pretty solid in Melee, the difficulty levels that you could play at. I don't know why they went ahead and did that, because I think it was already fine, but Nintendo's decision to change that, whatever. So with that, I think I am going to cut off here for part 1. Come back for part 2, and I will cover the various stages, the characters included in both games, as well as different items and Smash Balls, and then what you can unlock in either game. So I'm thinking this will just be a 2-part video. I don't have as much to cover as I did in my first one with Bioshock and Bioshock 2. So yeah, check back for part 2, and I will see you guys then.